Good morning. I'd like to tell you about my brain and how much fun it is. I was told in high school, I believe sophomore year, that every feeling, every emotion that I've ever had was created in the brain, translated through the brain. It didn't matter what I was doing. If I hurt myself, it was the brain's reaction to that pain. If I was feeling abundant joy, it was the brain that was translating that. If I had drinking a beer or smoked something, it wasn't the beer that was doing it. It was my brain noticing the beer and then creating a chain of neuropeptides that correlated that feeling of the one beer. And I thought, so I don't need to drink the beer, I can just access that whenever I want to. But I was in high school, I didn't care about much. These days, I do care about a lot. Years after that, a friend of mine who used to work at MIT was telling me about some research that a colleague of his was doing. It was kind of a hat, maybe like a stocking cap, perhaps, but it had all these diodes on it, and it would send different frequencies or different colors of light to different parts of the brain and activate those different parts of the brain. And essentially, you would have a device. These days it would be a smartphone. You'd have an app for it. And you could dial in how you wanted to feel that day. And I was like, what? So if I had a big presentation, I could be like, I would like to be 70% confident and 81% this, and only 3% a little anxious. Really? I could walk around town all day with my hat and my app and be as high as I wanted to be all day long? Really? Tell me more. Well, he told me more. He said that in order to activate those different parts of your brain by different colors of light, he had to inject the brain with a light-sensitive virus, however harmless. I don't think the FDA is ever going to approve of that. So I thought, well, that was dumb. But thanks for the knowledge. And in future years, I went through the worst depression I'd ever been in. It lasted a good 2.5, maybe 3 years. And it was darker and deeper than I'd ever been. I barely made it out of it. And as I was making it out of it, I was pissed about everything I saw. The ravens, all of it. I was mad. And I read since that that's one of the first emotions out of depression. And it may not look like a improvement to those around you, but to the viewer, to the victim of depression, it's a great improvement, that anger. And, it doesn't last that long. You choose how long it lasts. But I was getting out of the anger. I had burnt lots of bridges with friends and family, and I found myself in paradise. One of the many paradises I've been fortunate enough to visit. in this life. And I was sitting at the headwaters of the White Salmon right after Trout Lake, Washington. And big view of Mount Adams, and I was eating well, and I was having a lot of free time. And I started looking, Googling stuff, like, how do I get better? And I stumbled across some teachings, and they were telling me to find out how to be happy. Just figure it out. Spend most of your day happy, in a happy vibration, a happy frequency. If you can spend more than 50% of your day happy, then you will attract a lot of really awesome things into your life. And I thought, okay, this all sounds really good. Everything she was telling me was sounding really good. They were telling me. But how do I be happy? And I really started to look at it, to think back on all the experiences that I'd had over this lifetime. I love music. love live music. Just the vibration of the crowd and the synergy that band can create. It's potent. It's very powerful. I also love nature. I love the feelings that being out in nature and the sunshine can give me. And so I started ranking feelings, memories. It sounds weird perhaps, but I kept saying, okay, well, that's maybe number 3 in my lifetime. That's number 1 for sure. And then I'd try to think of something better. No, I just kept going back to that one. And I'll briefly describe it for you. It was a time on the Sea Cortez in Cabo, the first time I'd ever been to Mexico, and it was a beautiful day, sunshiny, probably 85 degrees in November. The water was maybe 82, 83, and I was face down in the water right where it laps up against the beach. And I had goggles on and a snorkel, and I was just laying there, being rocked back and forth in the water, watching this cosmic circle of sparkly sand and bits of shell float, dance in front of my eyes, rocking in the warmth. And I'd get these thrill bumps all over me just thinking about it, even today. And so I decided, think of that memory many times during the day and try to observe what's happening in your brain. Now, obviously, I don't know what's happening on a molecular level, but I can feel what's going on. I can notice, document, say, hey brain, remember that? I like that. And along with that, I decided to open up a dialogue with my brain. So many of us, I feel, are slaves to our brains. We react to what's happening in the external world by getting angry or getting sad or getting attached or whatever it is. And oftentimes we don't even know, like, why am I feeling that right now? Well, brain, what are you doing to me? Well, you can become friends with your brain. You can say, hey brain, I really like you. I want to be your friend. Can we be friends? Yeah, you can. And I know there's things that you would like from me. there's a few things that I'd like from you. Can we work on creating really wonderful habits? Giving you what you want, brain, and giving me what I want, body? Yeah, we can. Hi. Lots of birds out today. So I started going there, to Mexico, in my head, in my mind, many times a day, 20 times a day, 50 times a day, sometimes over 100 times a day. I would go there and try to visualize it as close as I could. Well, hi, Flicker. Gosh. And try to notice what's happening. Am I getting a tingle in my elbow or in my ear or my chin, or is there something happening? I get that the hypothalamus is the most complex pharmacy in the world, if not the universe, and it has the recipe for all the emotions, all the joys, and all the sorrows I've ever felt. It's got those recipes. And I get that you can access them, but how? How do we access them? Well, I decided to figure it out. And it's the simplest thing in the world. Really it is. It takes practice, but so does everything that's worth doing, right? I decided to be friends with my brain, to say, hey brain, can I feel real good right now? Yeah, I can feel real good right now. Here you go. So, at first it would be maybe a half a second dose. And after a couple of months, I got to the point where I could give myself maybe a 3-second dose. And then it would dissipate. And at first, I was so surprised that I could do this that it took me maybe 10 seconds before I could calm back down and try to access it again. After a few months, I could get more of a 3-second dose, and then maybe just a half-second lull before I accessed another 3-second dose. And so I would go through my day, doing this. Happy, indifferent, happy, indifferent, happy, indifferent, happy, balanced, happy, balanced, happy, balanced. And after about 3 months, I said, and I had been telling my brain now I would like to access this without the memory. I would like to just say, hey brain, please. Or I don't even need to say a word. Just, you know. And so I told myself, my brain, I'm going to try to access this without the memory soon. And I told myself that for a couple of weeks. And then I woke up one morning and I thought, today's the day. Are we ready, brain? And I asked. I genuinely had to have an open dialogue with my brain. Anytime my brain wants to tell me something, I'm listening. And that's powerful. Because for so many years, I didn't listen. I just ignored what my brain was trying to tell me. Yeah, maybe my brain's telling me, get rid of the ravens, get rid of the traffic, but here I am now. I am bestowing my gift to you, world. Perhaps we can look through the trickster ravens. And I said, today's the day, brain. You ready for it? And it said, of course, we're ready. So I waited until early afternoon, and I went to my meditation spot and I said, "Can we? Oh, we can. Wow, that is powerful." So I worked with that, accessing it anytime, regardless of where I was or what was happening externally. I can access joy internally. And I worked with it. And I decided that I want a superhighway of joy. I want to be able to access it quickly, anytime I want, with the lightning speed of the brain. And so, I never really could get more than about 3 seconds. And I read a book recently that gave me some fun knowledge about my happy chemicals, gave me more knowledge about which is which and what each does. And also, they mentioned something called reuptake. It's kind of your recycling system, so that once the floodgate of serotonin or dopamine is opened, you don't want to allow it to all go. That's like when you take MDMA. It opens up the floodgate of serotonin, but then for maybe 3 days afterwards, you're just really not very happy about anything. Yeah? Well, so it's your brain's way of holding a reserve of happy. And they call it the reuptake. And there are pharmaceuticals that inhibit the reuptake so that you can feel the happy for longer. And I thought, well, maybe I can convince my brain to inhibit the reuptake without taking the pill. Yeah, you can. You can. But also, I decided if I can give myself another 3-second dose after about 1.5 seconds, then instead of doing this, I can build on it. And one day, I called in the ravens. Ooh, there's 3 of them now. Gosh, law of attraction much? So, maybe they're just interested in the knowledge. Okay. One day, last winter, November of 2014, I was having a great day. I was in the vortex. I was getting it. I was working, but every project that I was working on was going really well. Just over and over and over again. These things were happening really well, as if I had given them a lot of light healing energy. Well, I had. But oftentimes, projects, there's lots of unseen and lots of hurdles to jump. But this day, it was nothing but dopamine and smiles and productivity. And it was just happening for me. And I just kept building and building on my dopamine. And I got to a point, I'm so surprised that the brain would even ask, but it said, are you going to have a hangover? I actually asked myself, am I going to have a hangover from accessing all this dopamine tomorrow morning? And the thought actually came, should I stop? It overwhelmed me with joy to even think, should I stop? No. If I can deplete my dopamine reserve without any pill or anything, just by the power of my mind, that's a success. So I kept going, I kept building on it. For about 12 hours, I was just exploding, just sheer euphoria. And I told myself, as I laid in bed, you need to try first thing in the morning and notice. And that's really the key. Try and notice. The other is to believe in yourself. And believe me, it's so easy. You can convince yourself that it's the most difficult thing in the world. But in fact, it's the easiest thing in the world to believe that you are a light being capable of creating any joy that you can ask for, that you can think of, that you can imagine. And so the very next morning, I tried. First thing. And I noticed there was no depletion whatsoever. If anything, it was easier, like a muscle that you work, like a superhighway that you pave over and over and over again. Those on-ramps are super easy to get on. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm 2.5, 3 years into it. 3 years. I'm 3 years into it. Almost the summer of 2015. I didn't start my research on this until September of 2012. So 2 years, 9 months into it. And I'm learning a lot about it. Eventually, soon, I was telling people in 10 years or so, I'm really in no hurry because what I have with it is phenomenal. But soon, and the more I think about it, it's more like 2 years, perhaps 6 months from now, I'm going to have a large list, a menu, as it were, of happiness, of joy, that I can access at any time, as much as I want, for free, with no side effects. Unless, of course, awesome is a side effect. And I'm going to be able to access any of these different combinations of the 4 main happy chemicals. I'm going to be able to get the endorphins that I need whenever I need it. Whenever I want it. I'm going to be able to get that warm glow of oxytocin. The security, the comfort that I feel in my community. I'm going to get that. I'm going to be able to feel the respect that I desire from my peers, from my elders. That serotonin feeling. And I'm going to get the joy of discovering something new, even with old stuff and with all the new stuff. That joy rush surge of dopamine. And I'm going to have different combinations for different times during the day. There's going to be sleep aid and sleep suppressants, like kind of a pick-me-up, a caffeine boost when I feel like I need to take a siesta and yet I can't yet. I'm also going to be able to access my T cells, my immune system. When I notice a little tickle in my throat, like I'm about to get a cold, instead of waiting for the brain to send those T cells, stat, go. I'm going to do what I need to do physically. Gargle with warm salt water or whatever I feel I need to do. But I'm also going to say, hey brain, T cells. And I don't mean your run-of-the-mill, dose of T cells. No, I mean 3 times. Send an army quick. Let's get this immune system pumping hot. And I'm going to do what I can by eating really well and taking those things that I know help me thrive. And I would like you to do what you know to do. And do it really well. Do it over the top. I'm not talking shoot for the moon, brain. I'm saying shoot for the stars that you can't see. Because if you do, you're going to make it way past the moon. But if all you're trying to do is jump a little bit, there's no way you're going to get to the moon. We're going to go well beyond anything fathomable. A whole menu of joy. Yeah. And soon, I'll get to travel around the world, spreading this joy, planting these seeds of joy across the globe. And I so look forward to doing so. Yes, yes, yes. I choose joy. And I choose to give my gift to you. Because why not? It can be so helpful for the depression in this world, all the sorrow in this world. It can be so helpful for this epidemic of degenerative brain diseases that we're about to see. That Western doctors and scientists, they're searching hard in every crevice of the brain. How do we solve this problem? They're getting closer, perhaps. I don't think they're anywhere near the solution, the cure. But they do know that